I think I'm imaginative. I think I have a lot of imagination.
Hmm.
And I've had my share of good ideas, some bad ones sometimes, of course. In fact, when you're doing science, you probably have 5 bad ideas for every good one. But my friend Lenny Baum said, he said, bad ideas is good.
Hmm.
Good ideas is better. No ideas is terrible. And when you're doing science, you have a lot of bad ideas. But, but you get some good ones if you're a good scientist, and those carry the day. My idea of leadership of an organization is to hire the very best people you possibly can. And I have a good taste in people.
Mm-hmm.
And then let them carry the ball.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I became chair of the Stony Brook Math Department, I reached out for the best person I could possibly find. And he was your father.
Mm.
And I knew if your dad would come on board, it would open up the floodgates of people saying, oh, well, this department can really go somewhere. So I spent a lot of time courting your father. And finally, he said yes. And then I was able to quickly hire 3 or 4 other outstanding people. And we did that over the next couple of years. I only really have one hero in my life, and it's Abraham Lincoln. There's many people I admire and so on, but as a hero, it's Abraham Lincoln. And he had the following qualities. He had very, very good social skills. People liked to be around him. He told a lot of jokes and so on. He was very smart. He was very smart. In his before he became president, he decided to study Euclidean geometry and understand that much mathematics, just on his own, because he was just curious. And he was a very, very smart guy. Good social skills, wonderful social skills, and determination. He had determination. There were so many times during the Civil War where he could have just said, "The hell with it. Let's just have 2 countries. So many people are being killed in this terrible war." But he had a vision of America, and he stuck to that vision, and just wouldn't give up. And over time, he was right, and that held the country together. We won the Civil War. I say we won the Civil War. The North, right. The North won the Civil War, and then he got, with great effort, the amendment passed, which abolished slavery in the United States.
Yes.
And that was very difficult to get passed, but he knew he had to get it passed before the war was over, and there were a lot of Southerners now back in the Congress, and it wouldn't get passed. And he said to his guys, he said, "This is very important. I want you to go out and do everything you can, twist every arm, give people this or that if they feel they need it. I'm the president of the United States. I'm imbued with great power. Use that power and get this amendment passed." And it worked.
Yeah.
So I think he was just a great man in every respect. Euclid, what he said was self-evident were the axioms. The parallelism axiom, that was the toughest one. 2 points to describe a unique line, and the intersection principle. So those, he said, were self-evident. But from then on, the theorems that developed from these were not self-evident. They were all, well, some of them looked obvious, but nonetheless, they were all proved using these initial, quote-unquote, self-evident things. Mm-hmm. Now, this discovery of Zeno's paradox was when I was a little boy, maybe 3 or 4. I was riding in the car with my father, and he said he had to stop to get gas. I said, well, why? Why do you do that? He said, I don't want to run out of gas because, the car won't run. And I said, well, why don't you just use half the amount that's in the tank, and then use half of that, and then use half of that, etc., and you'll never run out. You'll never run out of gas. Now, I didn't think it further through and realize, yes, but you'll never get anywhere either.
Do you think of math as beautiful in the sense that art is beautiful? I mean, we often hear this debate, is mathematics discovered or invented? I don't think people would say Michelangelo discovered, the David inside of a block of marble, even though he would say stuff like that. But he actually created it. But mathematics and what's chiseled into your wall in the Simon Center, do you feel that that's, discovered or really is it invented by the human mind? And then the follow-up question after you answer that will be, is it beautiful? Does it rank alongside great music, great artwork? And if so, why? So first, is mathematics discovered or invented the way art or inventions are found?
Yeah, that's a standard question.
Yeah.
And it's both.
How so?
Every true theorem is out there. The number of true theorems is, I believe, infinite. And the number of definitions that one can make is infinite. So all these things are out there. But on the other hand, you don't know this. There's no book of all these things because there's an infinite number of possible theorems and definitions. The key is, in doing mathematics, to, let's say, find a good definition, a definition that will get you somewhere, a definition that would unify perhaps other things, and so on. So that's a creative act. So it's a creative act to find something interesting in an infinite field and in an infinite collection of things. So it's out there, but you have to find it and have good taste in finding something that will really go somewhere.
So our segue between geometry and finance will be none other than Albert Einstein, who once said that compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Do you agree with that?
I never heard that.
You never heard that? Okay, I'll send you an email with a quote. Yeah. So once again, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. What is your notion of what's the most powerful force in the world according to Jim Simons?
Well, the most powerful force in the world, according to me, is some physical force. I don't know which one to pick, but this, of course, is finance and not physics. So, I've been pretty successful in finance.
You've had some success, I would say. Yeah,
I've had some success. Today, actually, I lost some money.
Oh no.
Not a huge thing, but
I'm here for you, Jim. If you need anything. Wants to know the proprietary algorithms of the medallion. No, he wants to know: has it become harder for you Given the rise in quantitative hedge funds, quant funds, and the thousands of PhDs trying to create new algorithms, has that made it harder to create alpha? So can you say what alpha means in the context of hedge funds for people that aren't familiar, and then answer that particular question?
Well, when you say alpha, first you have to understand beta. And beta is the stock market as a whole. Let's say the S&P average. So you could just invest in that, and you would be 100% beta. All your return would come from let's say the S&P, the Standard and Poor's average. Alpha is a source of earnings that is orthogonal to that. It's orthogonal to that. And so that's alpha. Now, our medallion fund is, I think, 90% alpha or 95% alpha. It really doesn't matter where the stock market is going for the medallion fund. We have, now the medallion fund is only open to employees of the company, of Renaissance, and me, of course, as the founder and shareholder. And we have some publicly available funds which do have some beta. They're not 100% alpha, but of course they don't do as well as medallion, but they do quite well until today. Today they had a bad day.
No. I'm sorry. Again, I'm always here if you need a cup of sugar. I'm here,
okay.
Jim.
All right.
So in that space, the question is, I've heard it described that these supercomputers and computers in general are, of course, increasing exponentially. Example of power, computing power over time, and cost is coming down. And yet the supercomputers themselves are suffering from the fact that there's more subscriptions. There's more people that want to use the computer now than in the earlier days. So it's sort of offsetting the exponential gains in processing power. And I guess James Altucher's question here is, has just the net quantity of hedge funds and quant PhDs?
Yes, I understand. And I didn't answer that question.
Yeah.
So I think the question is, do we have competition, and how much competition? Has competition hurt us at all? Because there are more and more quantitative funds. Up to a point, I think most funds are not quantitative funds, but there's certainly an increasing number of funds that are quantitative. And our secret is just to stay ahead of everybody, to hire the best possible people. And the research goes on all the time. We're doing research, trying to find new predictive signals. For example, that's a big example. So a signal is, well, you know what a signal is. It tells you a predictive signal is a signal that tells you what's going to happen.
With some probability of, right.
With a probability greater than a half. And the more of these signals that you have, and independent, they're not correlated with each other. If they're highly correlated, it's really just one signal. But the more you have, the better. And we have, I won't even say the number, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's a very large number of predictive signals. And they keep being developed. And sometimes these signals lose their power.
Yes.
And you have to discard them. Other people have caught on, or whatever. In the earliest days of my trading, I traded commodities, and commodities had a tendency to trend, a pretty strong tendency to trend. So that was a good way to make money. You would just say, well, if it was up last week, it's likely to be up next week, or so on. But people gradually caught on to trending. So after several years, or maybe 10 years after I started in the business, the trending in commodities had completely disappeared. The stocks never trended particularly, so there was no real trending in stocks, but commodities there was. And so that's an example of a signal that just disappeared.
So that's
and so other people, we keep discovering new signals. Other people might find some of those as well, and that might the effect of that might be that the signal kind of goes away because too many people are using it. But so we have awfully smart people, and they keep coming up with new signals. So that's, and we've stayed with ahead.